Good morning, everybody. It is another episode of Machtails from the Cantina. I have a very, very special guest with me today, somebody that I have not seen in 13 years, but it feels like yesterday. Mark Dermul. Mark in Belgium, so it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, you've already got yours prepared.
Yeah.
I still have an empty glass. I'm very much into Scotch whiskey. Hello, whiskey lovers, and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. My favorite brand is Auchentoshen. And now Auchentoshen released, it's a lowland single malt, which means it's triple distilled. Oh, look at that. It's the final bit. I saved it especially for your show, you know. Okay. But this is a special release that they did. It's finished on Sauvignon Blanc wine casks. So I'm going to make a cocktail with that. What I use is these stainless steel ice cubes. The good thing about these ice cubes is they stay cold for very, 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 very long because they don't melt, obviously.
They don't water down the drink.
Exactly, they don't dilute the drink either. The only thing is, in your glass, it looks like an elephant dropped something, you know? It doesn't really look that good because ice cubes normally float and then you can, you know, well, anyway. The good thing is that it does not melt and it does not dilute your drink and it stays cool for a very, very, very long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the Auchentoshen, there we go, Sauvignon Blanc wine cask. So now I have a beautiful single malt, but with an ice cube. Oh, blasphemy. But no worries, it's for a cocktail. What I'm going to add to that is, it's a bit like it's something like a gin and tonic, but instead of gin, I use this beautiful single malt. So I'm going to add the tonic water Fever Tree Mediterranean, which is a tiny bit spicy tonic. Add that to this beautiful single malt. And what you get is an alternative gin and tonic. I have a Toshen tonic. That's what I call it. So this beautiful single malt, which is at 47% ABV, together with some beautiful tonic, and that results in this deliciously refreshing Toshen tonic. Cheers, man.
Oh, cheers, man.
Yeah, it's close to lunchtime for you. It's close to dinner time for me. So perfect time for an aperitif. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Cheers. Well, I've been meaning to crack this beer open for a while. This is called Blackberry Pancakes. So it's something that you cannot really have at dinner time. It's more of a breakfast beer. This is from a brewery down the street from me called Energy City. And the brewer, he has a degree in chemical engineering. And he works at the Fermi Lab. So his beer is more of a hobby, and he knows what he's doing, the science and everything with it. Yeah. So it really, really makes a really good beer. Now, funny enough, this glass, Mark, I got this glass in Belgium.
Scotch, doesn't surprise me at all. Well, we are a beer country. We have more than 500 different kinds of beer, and that's just the big brands. There's also literally hundreds of craft brewers, you know, micro brewers, hobbyists who do it in their shed, you know, and then when they succeed, they will take their recipe to one of the bigger brewers and put it out there. So that's why Belgium is one of the biggest beer countries in the world, even though it's a very small country.
Before the craft beer thing took off in the US, I mean, it's really grown a lot in the last 10 years.
I know, yeah.
I dabbled with some Belgian beer that I could get here in the States in the early 2000s. And when I went to go see you to the Tunisia trip, and man, the best beer I've ever had comes from your country to this day. I mean, it's just amazing.
So it doesn't surprise me. We have a tradition of beer making that goes way, 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 way back. Before America was even... Before it even existed, if you know what I mean.
You can tell in the quality too. I mean, it's something that they've perfected over many years, you know? So
we're lucky that way.
I always say Tunisia, but you guys call it Tunisia, right?
Tunisia, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's the American way to say it. Lazy. When I filmed you in The Force Among Us, we filmed in Finch.
Now, who are the guys playing with the toys?
Sound effects with that?
I kept telling you, man, you look like a rock star in this footage. And you're like, well, what do you mean a rock star? And I said, man, you're sitting in that chair by the fireplace and you've taken all these people to a very, very, very cool place. And a rock star in the States is just somebody really cool. I've thought about it. You're kind of more like a gift giver on Christmas, you know, almost like this Santa Claus, because the gifts that you've given me, the experience to go to Tunisia. You know, the movies are out now. You know, it's done. This is a great way to end the Star Wars finale year. So, and I want to thank you, Mark. I want to thank you. And Vince. And even the autograph collection that I have, it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you.
I'm sorry I'm costing you all that money. Because, you know, the autographs and the trips, it's quite an expensive hobby. But like you said, it gives so much memories and pleasure that it's well worth it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, now are you still collecting autographs?
Oh yes. Of course, it's been toned down a bit. It was a bit quiet after the prequels, and so we had to make do with you know, some of the Rebels and some of the cartoons as well, Clone Wars, etc. So there wasn't that much going around, and my autograph collecting was, you know, to the back burner. I didn't collect that actively anymore. I didn't go to shows anymore because it was always the same people. But now with the new films, The Mandalorian and all that, it's reawakened my interest, and I've been able to add a couple of cool autographs to the collection. It's still one of the largest in the world, I think. Certainly in Europe, definitely in Belgium. I have about 6,000 autographed items currently, but it's just over 1,000 different names.
Wow,
it can be seen online at JediMaster.be. There you can find my complete collection of autographs.
God, I came across that website so long ago. It's really cool to hear that you still have it up and running. You know?
Yeah. It's been up and running since 1992. Imagine that.
Wow, 1992. I think the first time I went to your website must have been like 2000. In 2000. My autograph collecting has toned down a little bit. Now, what would you say the rarest autograph you have in your collection is, and what is the one that you're still seeking for?
Still seeking for? Oh my, that's a tough one because I've got all the big names. I think the rarest might be Richard Marquand, the director of Return of the Jedi.
Okay,
because he passed away shortly after. That might be the rarest, although it wasn't the most difficult to acquire at the time. But the one I value the most, the one with the greatest story, is probably Sir Christopher Lee.
I got mine from you. You know.
Good. Yeah, and I got those in person in London, in his residence. At the time, I was president of the Belgian Star Wars fan club, and I got in touch with his agent because we wanted to do an interview for our magazine. And I said, well, could we, you know, make it a private signing? We've got a lot of members in our club that might be interested in obtaining your autograph. And much to my surprise, he said, oh yeah, sure. Come on over and have a cup of tea. So we went to London, and they told us you will get 1 hour only. Sir Christopher Lee's a very busy man. You get 1 hour, and we were like, okay, no problem. And when we were led into the living room, well, this old man, this very regal old man, was sitting there with a big cigar and a cup of tea and a glass of red wine, and he said, take a seat or whatever. And we were setting things up because we were going to videotape. It was still videotape back then. We were going to videotape the interview, and we were setting up. And in the meantime, he was signing all these little plaques that were to go with the Master Replica Count Dooku lightsabers.
Oh,
they had this little plaque with his autograph on it, and he was signing away those. And this was taking 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and we were like, you know, watching the clock and like,
There goes the hour, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we feared. And so at a certain point, I was like, "Excuse me, Sir Christopher, forgive me, but we were told we only have 1 hour, and so that leaves us 40 minutes, and we would like to get on with the." And he was like very relaxed and said, "Oh, no worries, no worries. Juan, his son-in-law, and his agent. Juan, bring us some more tea. No, I've got no more appointments this afternoon. So no, relax, settle down. We've got time." And we spent the whole afternoon, insofar that we missed our train back to Belgium afterwards, and we had to reschedule our train because we actually went out to dinner with them afterwards. So that was an amazing afternoon. So I think that's the most valued in terms of memory. That's also one of the reasons why all my autographs, or most of them, whenever I can, are personalized. I prefer my autographs to be signed to Mark, and if possible with a special dedication or a line or a quote or whatever. Those are the ones that I love the most because they have a story. For example, Harrison Ford autograph. I've got an action figure and a Han Solo action figure signed. The way that came about is just crazy. I was in Miami on holiday, and in the harbor there's this huge crowd, and what the hell is going on? And so I asked one of the people, what is going on? Oh, they're shooting a film here. Apparently, afterward I found out that they were shooting in Miami for the film Random Hearts with Harrison Ford and Kristen Scott Thomas. They said, and Harrison Ford is coming out now. They've just had lunch and he's coming out and he's signing for everyone. And I'm like, oh my God, Harrison Ford, and he's signing? I didn't have anything on me. I was on holiday. So I looked at my wife and she said, well, there was a Toys R Us in the mall over there. Maybe you should go now. Off to the Toys R Us, got me a Han Solo figure, bought me a Sharpie, went back into the crowd, just, like this. And all of a sudden, he was very, very polite. He was like, I will sign for the kids first and I'll get around to you later. And he was signing away for like 45 minutes or something like that. And then all of a sudden he comes to me and he looks at the action figure and he's got that typical Han Solo smirk on his face going like, that's not me. Thinking the likeness isn't good enough or whatever. And then he signs it and he just gives back. He forgets to give me back the Sharpie, but I could not care less. I had an autograph from Harrison Ford on a Han Solo action figure. And it's still one of my prized possessions in my collection because the happenstance that was involved to meet Harrison Ford like that, not expecting it at all, and still getting the autograph, I think it's an autograph hunter's dream come true.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my dreams for sure.
Yeah.
When we went to Tunisia, I got to say Tunisia because I can't, it's not rolling off the tongue the other way. So when we went to Tunisia in 2005 and we went to Fince in 2007, after those two trips, did you take any other pioneers?
Yeah, I did one more in 2010, and that was with 18 people, but only to Tunisia. I've not yet returned to Fince. 2012, I was leader of the project Save the Lars Homestead.
Here's a sight that no Star Wars fan has seen in over a decade. The completely dug out steps into the Lars Homestead.
Was it your idea or were you asked to lead because based on your experience?
It actually started as a joke. In 2010, when we were at we had just visited the igloo and we were staying at this little hotel hostel in Tozeur, the Residence Varda, and we went downstairs to the bar to have a couple of drinks and talk about how was the day, what did you feel, what did you experience, whatever. And the igloo was in a bad shape. It was clear that in 2-3 years from then, there would be nothing left because of the climate was really eating away the building. And one of the guys joked and said, well, maybe we should come back in a couple of years and simply restore the damn thing. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. I actually think that could be done. Yeah, but who's gonna pay for it, kid? You? If you guys wanna test the waters, maybe we should launch this idea on Facebook because we're going to need to ask for donations, right? We're going to need money, we're going to need around. So I made quick calculations. We needed to hire local people to do the work, local material, etc., etc. some flights to go out there, etc., etc. Hotels shouldn't be too expensive. All right, if we can get $10,000 together, we should be able to have enough funds to go out there for a week with 5 people and just do this. So a Facebook page is opened with the request, how would you guys feel if we were to go back to the Lars Homestead and restore it? Save Lars Homestead. We would need this amount of money, and you can donate $1, you can donate $5, 10, 15, whatever you want to give. Within the span of 8 months, we had $10,000 together. And so we had this money, and then of course we knew we had to do it. Because, you know, if you launch an idea and you take people's money, then there's no turning back. It was not my idea. But then these guys, I was like, hey guys, this seems to be working well. Good luck. You know where it is and what. And they were like, yeah, Mark, there's one thing we almost forgot to ask you, but could you please help us out, because we wouldn't know how to get there, who to talk to. So when I thought I was out, they drew me back in. I was the one who got in touch with the Tunisian government. It's not just a matter of getting on a plane, hiring a car and driving down there and just restore the damn thing. No, we had to get work permits. We had to get permission from the government, permission from Lucasfilm.
This is not a drug deal. I'm just paying for all the hotels and the jeeps and the drivers, and this is perfectly legal transaction.
It was a funny idea until you got to deep dive into it to see how are we going to do this. I was sold from the get-go. I mean, I knew I was going to want to be involved with this,
Well, something close to your heart, for sure,
Absolutely, yeah.
Was there a part of that trip where you're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into, or was it pretty smooth sailing?
There were some of those moments. One of the biggest things that we had underestimated was working in the desert during the day. It would run up to 42 degrees Celsius. I'm not even sure what that translates to in Kelvin or Fahrenheit, but it's very hot.
It's almost noon. It's 38 degrees now. So it's about time to call it a day. The morning shift is almost over.
We realized after the second day that we would not be able to work during the day. So we would go out there at 5 a.m. in the morning and work until 10. So about 5 hours. And then we would go back to the hotel, to get out of the sun until 5 in the afternoon. And then we would go back out there and work until 10 again. So we would spend about 10 hours of working on the igloo, but not during the day because it was just too hot. It was impossible to work in those conditions. And I thought, we've been there on holiday, running around, taking pictures. Oh, it's hot, isn't it? Yeah. But we've got our water. Hey, would you mind taking a picture? But going back out there in those same conditions and working on the igloo, that was something it was impossible.
And I remember somebody looking at the temperature reader, and man, it was literally like 150 degrees out there.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Do you have a favorite memory from 05 Tunisia and 07 Vince?
Oh man, that's such a difficult question. I've got so many memories and so many fond memories. To pick out one that is actually a favorite is it's like choosing between your kids. Who's your favorite kid? You can't choose between your favorite kids. But I'll tell you that the Star Wars Canyon that you were just referring to, that certainly is one of my favorite locations. And one of my favorite memories is every time I went on the trip there, when we go into the canyon, I don't know if you remember this, but then it's like, okay, when we go round the bend here, all of a sudden you will see the Java Rock. Very recognizable from the shot where the Jawas attack R2-D2. I'll go over there already because I want to see your faces. And then I would go stand past the Java Rock, and then I would say, all right, you can come around now. And people would come around, and then they would see this location. The faces that they make, that really make my heart skip a beat every single time, because for the very first time, they see something in real life that they have seen on television, in videos, in DVDs, for all their life. So they associate it with, this is Tatooine. This is not real, this is Tatooine. And then all of a sudden they're there in Tunisia and, oh my God. And they have to flip the switch to realize we are not on Tatooine. This is a real life location. I'm in an African country. I'm in Tunisia. Look at it. There it is. The faces that people, those are memories. Yeah, it brings back.
It's almost like watching your kids on Christmas morning open their gifts, you know?
Exactly. But then in 2014, I went back there with my family because my kids, they told me, Dad, you've been to Tunisia so many times and you've been on CNN and you're world famous with the Save Lars project, but we've never even been there. And I was like, oops, yeah, you're right. So they gave me a Father's Day gift, and it was a 7-day trip to Tunisia with the family. So as you can see here, I'm not sure if you can see it good on the.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So obviously this is me with the hat. This is my wife, my son Kobe, who was very young at the time, and these are my 2 daughters. But this picture again, this is 2014. So
it's cool, and that's obviously your shadow on the homestead.
Exactly. Right? Yes. During the sunset.
Do you think that you are going to need to go back there someday, or somebody, to restore the homestead?
Yeah,
or did you guys?
Well, there's already been a group that went out there to make some provisional repairs, whatever. It's quite unbelievable how unforgiving the climate in Tunisia really is. When the restoration was done in 2012. When I went back with my family in 2014, I could already see them, this is going to need another patch up in 2, maximum 3 years. And indeed, a couple of years ago, I think 4 years ago, 2016, another group of fans went back there to patch it up a little and give it a bit of coat of paint and such. And again, and that's the funny part, people still send me pictures of the Lars Homestead whenever they go there. And apparently a lot of people go there now. And you can see that every 2 to 3 years, it actually needs a bit of help. It needs a bit of patching up. I have been asked to do another Save Lars project or something like that, but I feel that I've done my part, and it's now the younger generation that has to pick it up. The local interest is diminishing, but the tourists, they still flock together there and send us pictures. We still have on Facebook the Save the Lars Homestead Facebook group, and people often post their pictures in there as well. So, which also goes to show how important Star Wars fans think this location is, you know, and that's a good thing.
Well, God, I mean, it was the cover of my first documentary film. You know, I met so many people, including yourself, which led to going to Finse, and actually, for the sequel, I went to Northern California and Death Valley. And I got to tell you, Mark, that was my first time going to a Star Wars location without you. And I was nervous, and it made a little bit of work for me. As you know, it's a lot of work. A lot of people ask me, like, hey, you went to Tunisia, do you have any tips for me? And I mean, you were really the one that made sure that we had a good time, that made sure all the accommodations were taken care of. And we went to so many different places. I don't really have tips to give to anybody. I have experiences to share, you know? Man, it was quite an undertaking, I believe.
Yeah, it was. It took a lot of preparation, but when you are passionate about something like that and know that if you can share this with someone, they will be equally passionate about it.
When I signed up for this trip, I had no doubt that I would enjoy the trip simply because of the love for the Star Wars movies. What I didn't anticipate was finding 17 other people that are just simply amazing. I'm proud and honored to call you all my friends. Thank you for making my trip that much more memorable.
That alone is motivation enough to put in all the hours and all the calls and all whatnot, and faxes. It used to be faxes back then. when I got in touch with the ONTT, the Office de Tourism of Tazur in Tunisia, it took days to get a reply and such. So it took me about 6 months to put the trip together and get all the accommodations together and such. But then you go out there, and I'm quite at ease at that moment because I know that everything has been taken care of, and I speak the language. I know my way around Tunisia. I've been there a couple of times. So even if something should go wrong or something unprepared comes along the way.
You all right?
Be careful, Mark.
Oh shit, man. This is scary though.
I can't imagine. But don't move, Mark.
There's nothing down there, you know?
I won't panic. I mean, okay, we'll take it as
we'll
cross that bridge when we get there, you know, and
Exactly.
But then you're out there with these fans from all over the world like yourself, and then you see them experience what you have prepared and what I have experienced many years before, which was in 2000. I went out there for the very first time on my own in 2000. It's also when I met my wife Sophie, by the way, which is a beautiful story for our kids.
How is Sophie doing, by the way?
Oh, she's good.
You met out there.
Yes, we did.
That's
actually.
crazy.
Yeah. That's a funny story. I was on my own there because I wanted to see the locations, and there was this group of travelers, and Sophie was among them, and we met.
And here you are 20 years later.
And we got to talk, and exactly 20 years later, here we are, and we're still together, still happy. I would very much like to go back to Finse with the kids because it's such an amazing location. I do not feel the need to do another trip with fans. I mean, that is indeed behind me. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, wrote the book. Exactly. So that's a bit behind me now. I don't feel the need or the urge to go back to Tunisia right now because I've been there so many times. But the urge will probably return in a couple of years just to go back there, but not with pioneers, but just me, or maybe me and my kids or something like that. I would very much like to do Finse again because that was in 2007 and I haven't been there since. So I'd very much like to do that with my kids as well. It's such a beautiful location, you know.
Möge die Macht mit dir sein. Möge die Macht mit dir sein.
Möge die Macht mit dir sein.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been practicing for 2 years. And of course, that wasn't an easy spot to get to, you know, as we all know from not only going with you, but, you know, reading all the journals and stuff from the Empire Strikes Back crew. Is there a film location from Star Wars that has kind of been on your bucket list?
Probably South America. It's exotic, but very recognizable. Well, the one from Rise of Skywalker, the island where Skywalker is.
That location looks quite beautiful.
That looks really good, yeah. I think I'd like to do that too. And that should be fairly easy compared to Tunisia because it's just a flight away and then you take a ferry and you're there. I often get the question, is it safe to travel to Tunisia?
Yeah.
It is. There was one time when it was not safe, and that was during the revolution, which was 2011. You know, because that was why we were delayed in going to the Lars Homestead because of the revolution that went on there. But it's a democratic country, and tourists can freely move around there. And the parts that we went to, especially the southern parts, they don't have any terrorism or anything like that. They eke out an existence there in the desert. They're just happy to see you because they know that you will be spending some tourism dinars. They treat you like a king if you travel to the south of Tunisia. So I've never been anything, or I've never felt anything else but welcome in southern Tunisia. So all these stories, can we travel to Tunisia? Are we not going to be kidnapped? Are we not going to be headhunted or whatever? Oh, no. No.
You know, it's funny because Celebration was in Chicago last year. And, you know, you guys probably have heard our news, but we've had a lot of problem with gun violence. And of course, you know, you don't see that in the downtown area. You don't see it out here in the suburbs. But if you're not from here, you know, and if you're traveling, a lot of people are like, oh, is it safe to go to Chicago? I mean, I think anywhere there's going to be some kind of concern of safety.
Yeah.
You know, and you just got to know where to go and you know, where to not go. How has COVID-19 affected you guys?
The lockdown has been heavy. Let me put it that way. We went in lockdown. Belgium went in lockdown on the 13th of March. And it's a bit weird because I've got a team that I need to boss around. Let me put it that way. Yeah. And it's different if you have to do this from a distance. If you have to do this like we are talking now. I talk to my people, to my team via Skype and WhatsApp and whatnot. But we can all do what we need to do from home. But it's a totally different vibe. I'm actually looking forward to being able to go back to the office and see my coworkers again.
What do you do?
Well, I'm a team leader at the Business Credit Center of ING. ING is a large bank. We sell professional loans, let me put it that way.
Your first Star Wars memory ever?
Oh, that's a funny one, actually. A bit embarrassing, too. But then again, I was 7 years old, 43 years ago. I was a very, very small child. And my dad and my older brother, my brother was 9 at the time, he's 2 years older than I am, they saw this trailer on television.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now.
And we had just been to the cinema to go see Bambi, the Disney classic.
Yeah.
And Dad said, hey guys, look, Mark, how would you like to go to the cinema again this weekend? I'm like, yay! I want to go back to see Bambi again. And then we went to the cinema and Dad said, no, sorry kid, we're not going to see Bambi. We're going to see this new film, Star Wars. I said, Star Wars? What? Star Wars? No! So I cried until the opening shot. And then this huge, this mesmerizing shot of the Star Destroyer that comes on screen, and I was like, and the rest is, as they say, history.
How many times did you see it when it first came out? 30, 40 times?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, my favorite film, and the only one I keep track of, or the only one I keep count of, is The Empire Strikes Back. I'm currently at 233 screenings of The Empire Strikes Back.
Why keep track of that one and not Return of the Jedi or A New Hope?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's my favorite film, I guess.
The whole process of us going to Finch, I was already, part of your crew as far as the pioneers go. And then we decided that, hey, Mark, I'm making this documentary. Can you make arrangements for us to film you guys? And everything worked out. It's a long story, very, very short. The original idea, a lot of people might not know this, was to just interview you on Skype, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And to put in all your photos and video. But man, I'm so glad. It cost me a small fortune to go to Finch, but I'm so glad we did it. And it's funny, I roomed with you. I was your roommate.
I remember. And we put our drinks outside the window. We didn't have a fridge.
Yeah.
We just opened the window, put the bottle on the windowsill, closed the window, and in the morning it would be so fresh.
Yes, that's yeah. We would put our drinks there, and I remember I would spend a lot of late nights at the bar, and I would come back after you, and I found this new little contraption now that just saved my life that I wish I had when I was rooming with you, because it's called a white noise machine. And I remember you would snore like all night, and I would be like, oh my, I'm like, I put headphones on, I could still hear you sawing logs. So next time we go to, if we ever room together, I'm bringing the white noise machine.
Oh no, I actually how do they call that in English? Apnea? You know what that is? Apnea. So you stop breathing.
Yes, sleep apnea.
I suffer from apnea, so laugh it up, fuzzball.
I have a lot of friends that have that, and that is a very, very.
Well, when I go to bed now, I look more machine than man now because I sleep with a mask, so I look a bit like Kylo Ren on steroids, But yeah, I used to snore quite a bit, and yeah.
This is a little part of Machtails from the Cantina where we play a couple games. You are very experienced with the autographs, and there's a lot of people that are in our autograph collection that are not household names. Okay. So I'm going to test your memory, and I'm going to name the actor or actress, and I just want to see if you could tell me what their role in the movie was. These are characters now. These are not like behind-the-scenes people.
Okay.
First one is Stephanie English.
Stephanie English. She was a Hoth rebel technician in The Empire Strikes Back.
You are good. You're off to a good start.
Oh, I'm in touch with Stephanie, so we're friends,
I'm not surprised. Okay,
lovely lady, by the way.
Yeah, I wrote to her. Lovely lady. She wrote me back. This one, I might be pronouncing this wrong. Vas Anderson.
Vas Anderson. Yeah. Oh my. Wasn't he Vas Anderson? He was I don't recall. I think he was an Imperial officer in A New Hope, but I'm not sure.
No, he was in A New Hope, but he was a rebel technician. Chris Bunn.
Wasn't he for Lamar, or is that Chris Bunn?
No, Chris Parsons.
No, that's Chris Parsons. Sorry, Chris Bunn. Oh my God.
This
This is not a fun game, Chris. You're testing my memory after a long day at work, after a beautiful tosh and tonic. And
All right, Chris Bunn, he was the astronaut in the Cantina.
oh my God. That's not a character, that is a background figure.
David Church.
David Church. Mm-hmm.
Okay, David Church.
Oh, wait. He was a rebel commando in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, no, not a rebel commando. He was in Return of the Jedi. He was Lieutenant Page, which
The rebel commando.
kind of a background character. The last one. Now you need to get this, man. You need to get this one. You started strong. You're gonna end strong. Michael Brown.
Michael Brown.
Michael Brown, he was in my documentary, The Force Within Us.
Wasn't even told really what it was about, what I'd be doing at all, and I had no idea. There was rumor in Crescent City that they were filming Star Wars. When we got on set location, there was a stormtrooper in a box, and that gave it away. I knew it was Star Wars. My smile had to be this wide.
Those are some obscure names, man. I've got 1,100 names in my collection. You come up with the 5 most obscure.
Okay, now for the last game here, you're going to tell me if were they in Star Wars. David Orange.
No.
Okay, you are correct. Peter Roy.
Yes.
Okay, you got that one.
He was in A New Hope. Yep.
Tom Flood.
Tom Flood. No.
Okay, he was Empire Strikes Back officer. Sean Knopp.
Don't know him.
You are correct. Ross Mullen.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, you are correct. David Stone.
David Stone. He was in Star Wars. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, man. Good. Okay. And then the last one is Paul Redfern.
Paul Redfern?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Hey, man, I'm impressed with that game. You did well.
But there was one who was in Star Wars. The second name, Flood, you said?
Tom Flood, yes.
Tom Flood. I don't think I have that one in my collection. Good. A name to track down.
The last thing I'd like to wrap up, my friend, is thank you for sharing so many awesome stories. Things I didn't know about you. I haven't seen your face in 13 years. It's great to see you now.
Yeah, you too.
What's the prized piece in your collection?
That's a tough one. Because there's so many. I have, like, for example, one of the pieces I am very proud of is a poster for the Phantom Menace, which was part of a press junket package, promotional package for 20th Century Fox in Germany, and it was signed by, amongst others, George Lucas, but also the producer and a couple of actors, and that was a gift to the to 20th Century Fox in Germany, and. For charity, it went on auction, and for some silly reason, nobody went above my bid, which I felt at the time, this is 99, was very, very fair bid. I bid like 200 euros for it. That's like $250 20 years ago. And nobody went above that bid, and I could not believe that I got that beautiful poster with the George Lucas autograph, etc., in pristine condition, in the original box, with still the stickers on it from Lucasfilm to 20th Century Fox in Berlin. I'm very happy with that poster.
Wow.
I've got like all posters upstairs. They're all still in their protective tubes, and they are now signed by hundreds of people. My Empire Strikes Back poster is my favorite. Again, I really like those posters because they tell a story. They bring back many memories because it's been going around with me to shows all over the world for the past 20 years. And I now feel I can retire these, frame them, and put them up. And they are so beautiful to look at as well. So I guess those are my prized possessions in Star Wars. And then of course, silly things like some sand from the filming locations in Tunisia. Yeah, a bone from the Great Dragon skeleton.
Yeah.
Some set dressing from the Phantom Menace that we brought back from Tunisia. It's mostly the smaller things, not really the most expensive things that are close to my heart.
Yeah. And like you said, the ones that have stories. Do you still stay in touch with all your pioneers from the trips?
stay in touch, not really on a regular basis, but we are connected through Facebook, for example, and we sometimes comment on each other's profiles. We do still get in touch with, with birthdays and stuff like that.
Sure.
But it's been a while since we've spoken, yeah.
And well, hey, I'm looking forward to going to Belgium sometime in the near future again, and I'll definitely be hitting you up. I'd love to see you, man. Thanks again for not only sharing your stories, but for the experience over the last several years, man. Cheers.
It was good to see you, man. My glass is empty, but nevertheless.
Yeah, cheers. All right, everybody. We will see you next time on Machtails from the Cantina. Stay healthy. Stay strong.
You can take Star Wars with you. It goes wherever you go.